Hello and welcome to Digital Twin, and today we will talk about energy consumption and how to manage it. Stay tuned.
Digital Twin Podcast is a place where technology and business is going hand in hand.
If you are thinking about digitalizing your company, you found the right place.
Podcast is hosted by Adrian Stelmach, consultant who implements IT solutions for manufacturing companies.
And Paul Pachovich, industrial digitalization expert, who helps global companies to optimize production processes. Energy consumption. This is something that's more and more interesting for a lot of companies, to the point that some of the companies cannot exist anymore because of the high energy prices. So a great topic to discuss, great topic to that we can use to analyze what can we do about constantly increasing energy prices, and then what is possible to actually prevent those shortages of energy, or how to optimize our strategy so we can still be effective and we can still manufacture in the times where the energy price keeps going up.
Yeah, we can surely say that currently we're on an energetic crisis in Europe because of, I would say, a lot of different reasons. So now it's a problem, and now companies, especially manufacturing companies, because there's something called producers inflation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And producers inflation means that for how much producers are selling goods to the companies which are the sellers one. So, for example, supermarkets and so on. And cost of energy is, in some of cases, it's a very big part of the cost of manufacturing itself.
Mm-hmm.
And if we look at the Europe map, we would say that every country has a main, I would say, source from what they are producing energy. For example, we have East, so you have Russia, Italy, for example, from bigger countries, Greece. So the main source, it's a gas. It's natural gas.
Mm-hmm.
We have Poland, Ukraine, Czech Republic. When you have coal still,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You have Germany, you have Spain, when the main one is oil. And normally, some countries should have problems with energy, depending on what kind of energy sources are in global markets on selling on higher prices.
Mm-hmm.
But currently, all of them are selling on higher prices.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I would say the energy which we are buying in the global markets is few times more expensive than 1 year ago, for example.
Sure. So looking at we haven't mentioned any of the Scandinavian countries.
Yeah.
Right, because I think it's important to say that most of their energy is we can call it green energy, right? Depending on what numbers you're looking at, it could be up to like 90 something % of renewable sources of energy for the Scandinavian countries. I think it's important to mention that, against like Germany or Poland, when those countries are heavy on coal, right? Not just coal, but coal is crucial part for their existence. So so why do we talk about energy cost? Why does it matter? It seems like an obvious question, but I think it still needs some clarity and an explanation. why the energy cost matters?
First reason is obvious, because all of us are paying for energy because we have to use energy for everything right now. But this is not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is that the energy cost is in everything which we consume or we can buy. As I said before, it depends on specific things, because, for example, to produce, for example, oil, you need much more energy than if you produce, for example, milk, right? So, of course, the percentage of used energy for producing one specific good is different, but it is everywhere. So, if let's say an example, if we have a laptop where cost of energy, let's say it's 10%, and if the energy now is it costs 4 times more, it means that from 10%, currently the energy cost for in this laptop, of producing this laptop, now it's 40%, right? So you have to increase the price only because of this energy increasement over 30%. So now, as a consumers, we have to pay 30% more for the same laptop, which looks the same, works the same, and so on, because of the energy prices change.
Yeah, so long story short, this final price always goes up for the end consumer, right? So the manufacturer, they will at some point have to pay more for the energy, but most likely they will transfer that to the end client, and finally you, me, and everybody else would pay for the price increase, right?
Yeah, of course, in normal times, when because energy prices in global markets are changing every day, right? But the fluctuations are not that much. It's like points of percents, the changes. So it doesn't matter that much. So the prices are stable for a longer term, and we see the changes of the prices of specific goods, but we see it year to year, not day to day or month to month. But if this dynamics is the fluctuations are much higher, the amplitude is much higher, it means that that the producers have to change the prices faster. That's why we can see the laptop or phone or anything or car prices like last month, it could be way different than right now.
Yeah, there's also one more important thing to mention here, that whenever manufacturing companies are creating a strategy, a long-term plan, how they're going to operate in the future, they have to think about the price increase. So they have to kind of include that in the overall strategy of the company, and that's already kind of increasing the price, because they are anticipating that the energy prices will go up. So they are trying to adjust that price. So even if the price for the energy goes up, they will still make profit.
Yeah, that's right. And if we look at the manufacturing companies, for example, let's ask ourselves what we can do as a manufacturer if, for example, the energy prices increases that much that we can go out of business, right? So we don't have any margin to pay for it. So what scenarios do we have? First scenario is that we are selling the products in a higher price. This is the obvious one. But the question is, what is doing our competition in the same time? Because if the competition says, okay, our prices didn't change because, for example, we use energy from solar, or, for example, as you said, it's some kind of green energy.
Yeah, wind.
It means that they are not forced to change their prices. That's why we are thinking about alternatives. And the other alternative, one of the alternatives, is that we are changing the location of the manufacturing. Right? So we say, okay, so let's go, for example, to a warmer place, let's say to Spain, because in Spain, we don't spend that much money for heating, for example, right? So now we have to calculate what to do. What is the difference between cost overall cost of production in Spain and in, I don't know, Iceland, for example, right? And if it's affordable for us to move the company from Iceland to Spain, to pay less, for example, for energy.
Sure, sure. And I think what's important here that we should mention is that the reason the prices of the end product go up is because of the production cost goes up, but also that affects the fact that the overall operation of that business goes up. So everything goes up. It seems that's simple, that I'm just gonna pay more for this end product, but it also means that overall expenses of that particular manufacturer goes up. So it's not only that we see the price increase at the very end of that chain, but also that company is making less money because it's the overall business is just suffering and bleeding money basically, but they don't see that much revenue because the revenue is spent on energy.
Yeah, if you see the, I would say, the global chain, when you're producing anything or delivering anything, I would say you can choose whatever good you want. There's always that a lot of different hundreds of different parts which the manufacturer or the company who is selling this good have to pay for, right? And of course, if, for example, you're going to supermarket and people working in the supermarket, for example, they want 10% of increase their paycheck, it means this 10% we have to participate. Every good we sell, it have to participate in this 10%, right? So that's why we have inflation, and that's why now it's very important to look at the energy savings, because the energy prices increase much more than paychecks.
Sure. Should we talk a little bit about how consumers can save energy?
Yeah,
because we've been talking a lot about how to save energy if you're running like a production or plant. Then there's ways to do that. It's much more complex than saving money at home. So let's just talk about how we can save money at home, and some like easy ways and tips on how to do that.
Yeah, I think currently we have a lot of different smart home devices, for example, which you can buy in every supermarket. It costs like $15, and for example, there's a lot of devices which you can plug in your electric socket. You can put something, the device between it, and what it does, it counts the energy consumption on this specific socket, and also you can program it and schedule the time when the socket is active and inactive. And what it does simply is only make sure that the energy consumption is only in the point when the energy is really needed. So this is one way. And you have a lot of different devices for different purposes. For example, any smart home devices, not only those for sockets, but also those you have, for example, a global dashboard for all of those devices. We have mobile applications which are connecting to those devices, which are taking a lot of data from them, and, for example, giving you alerts what you should do to make sure that the energy that you will use it in a more efficient way.
Sure. So we can look at our home as we are looking at the manufacturing plant, right?
Yeah.
Like we have different kind of devices that consume energy. Same, in the manufacturing plant, we have different machines that are, consuming energy. And, looking at the consumption, we can kind of, decide, what are we okay with, how much electricity are we okay to use for certain devices. And also, we can invest in like energy efficient appliances, right? So we can always, like, maybe we just don't realize how much energy certain items use that we have in our houses. And then since we figure that out, then we can make rational decisions and maybe invest in some energy efficient equipment.
Yeah, that's true. In manufacturing companies, you have a different scale, right? Because so you cannot use those smart home devices to check the energy consumption for the big CNC machines and so on and robots. But the idea is the same. So you have sensors which are checking how much energy is consumed in a different machines. And you can check, for example, what are the differences between different machines. And you know exactly what is the cost of energy of production on one machine and another. You can compare it. Another thing, you can compare the same, for example, final products, between different machines, and you can compare this specific cost of energy, which is spent on those final good.
Sure. Yeah. So this is this is the B2C part of today's episode. How about the B2B part? How about we talk about how to prepare our businesses for this constant increase in energy price, or just in this, how to prepare for the fluctuation of that price, because the price changes. More often it goes up than down, but still, how do you prepare for that? How do you make sure that you're constantly measuring the amount of energy that you're using, so you don't find out after a year of working that that you're not making any profit because the energy prices, they went up, you didn't keep up with increasing your prices, and now you're not making any money. And if I may start this, talking about this, I would say about one thing that is super obvious, but still nobody does it. Like, people are more likely to, look for some renewable sources of energy, or maybe they conduct some energy audits, just to figure out what's causing. What kind of equipment is using the most energy, let's say. But the one that comes to my mind is educating employees. Like, this is so simple, it pretty much doesn't cost anything. You just have to talk to them. And I strongly believe that having that education part done, talking to them, it should absolutely change the amount of energy that you're using, and it's the cheapest and easiest way of dealing with energy price increase.
Yeah, I think it's also like a company's policy and values, which company is, connected to. Because, for example, less energy consumed means that you are more environmental friendly. So it's also important, and this is a good way to educate employees, as you said, because most of us want to be environmental friendly, right? And if the company comes to you and say, okay, you have to use this machine in this way, or you have to work in this way, because we will spend less money and we will consume less energy, it means that we will be more green, and we will be more environmental friendly.
Sure. So since we have educated our employees, now we can conduct an energy audit. I think I don't know which one should be first. Maybe the audit, but educating employees is important as well. So, what are the benefits of conducting an energy audit?
I think before we do such an audit, or maybe after, I'm not sure, we have to ask ourselves what part of if is the energy really problem for us, right? Let's say you have an office in a country where 300 or more days there's sunny, it's warm, and it's more than 15 degrees, right? It means that you don't spend money for heating, right? Probably sunny days make you that you don't have to use lights that much. So only energy that you really use, it means that you is energy which is needed for your coffee machine, for your laptop, or for charging your phone. So it's not that bad. So maybe energy is not this part of your general cost of your business. But audit always gives you information how this your image of your energy consumption meets the reality.
Yeah. So yeah, let's like continue this this topic. Like, sometimes we think this is one of the examples from the previous episode. Sometimes we think that we need ERP system, but we actually need MES system, right? Instead. So sometimes we think that we really have to, focus on saving energy. Sometimes we're not. Sometimes there's, 20 other things that we can do that would be more beneficial for our business than creating super complicated energy management system. So other things that companies can do to reduce the stress caused by constantly increasing energy prices?
It depends on what your business is all about, but you can also think about giving people a chance to go to remote work, right? Because, for example, costs it could be more efficient if you increase the paychecks for your employees, so they can pay more money for example for energy in their houses during the home office than renting an office by itself, right? So this is also something which you can consider. Of course, not any kind of business you can do that. For example, manufacturing is you cannot take the machine in to your home and produce.
Or you shouldn't.
Or
but you shouldn't.
Yeah, and you probably shouldn't. But what you should do is, of course, and it relates to any kind of business, you should know exactly what is your cost allocation and know exactly how much energy, how % of the final price of your product or your service, how much the energy is there.
Yeah, and I think a good way to figure that out would be data analytics, right? Like Peter Drucker said at some point that you can manage anything that you don't measure right now. So the analytics, data analytics, could be used for monitor the energy consumption, and then just identify the areas where the energy is wasted, where it's being wasted, and then maybe optimize the other areas of consumption. So to be able to manage the consumption, first of all you have to measure it and then draw conclusions based on the data that you have collected.
Yeah, that's true. And the important thing is that you don't have to invest, like for example, from the beginning on the IT system, because to visualize the data and to store the data related to energy consumption, for example, or anything else related to cost allocation, it doesn't have to mean that you have to buy the system from the beginning. But what you should have to consider from the beginning is to make sure that any device which you are buying, doesn't matter if it's a heating device or is it like a machine, for example, it have sensors which you can connect for this kind of system. Because if you will be ready to buy a IT system, for example, to energy management, you have to make sure that the IT system is not the only thing you have to invest in. But the first thing and the most important part is the sensors, because the data have to go to the system from the source.
Sure. The IoTs or IIoT devices. Any takeaways, or there's anything else that you want to mention in this episode?
Yeah, I think my takeaway, it will be like, we shouldn't wait till the energy crisis to start to monitor and allocate the right costs for our products and services. We should think about it like a constant improvement way, because like a investment in digitalization is something which is like a you can say it's a lifestyle. It's not like a project. It's a way of business should be managed in current days. So yeah, that's my
Okay, I think that I would set up my mind in a way that we are constantly dealing with energy crisis, and we will be dealing with even more energy crisis in the future. So I would think of energy crisis happening all the time, and I would do everything and anything to keep up with it and set up not only manufacturing businesses but all the businesses in a way that they are kind of going towards the sustainable future, and in order to do that, it's very simple. Just kidding, it's not simple, but you can actually do that. You can start measuring and then start drawing conclusions, and then you can invest in like renewable energy sources, but start with education of people, and then collect data, analyze the data, and then draw conclusions. And I think this is one of the ways that are leading us towards a more sustainable future.
Okay, so I think we are in the end. Thank you for going to the end of this episode. Leave a comment and subscribe our channel if you think it's worth it. And see you next week. Thank you. Bye.